Hello and welcome again to Creative Connections. Today my guest is John Sacco from the Ware Community Jazz Ensemble. John, welcome.
Thank you.
I had the great pleasure of hearing the ensemble perform last Sunday at Workshop 13, and I have to say that I was greatly impressed.
I'm glad you could make it.
Yeah. So how did the jazz ensemble come about?
Well, actually, as you know, we started the Ware Community Band about 14 years ago.
Okay.
And after a while, some of the people were looking for a different kind of outlet. They wanted to do some different kind of music. So I said that I would start a jazz ensemble if they would do the work.
Okay.
So I had a bunch of charts at that point. I had a smaller big band back in the late 90s.
Okay.
And I had a fairly sizable library. So we started off using that library. And then as the band grew, I started adding charts to it, and that's how we got going. We've changed personnel quite a bit through the years. We started out, we had no bass player. Jill Monjo, the woman that used to be the high school music teacher,
Okay.
she played bass for us on keyboard.
All right.
So, yeah, we made do as we could and
Yeah.
kept growing and growing. Now, as you saw Sunday, we have a full-size band.
Is there like sort of a regulation size?
No, well, yeah, I wouldn't call it a regulation. Traditional, yes. You got,
Okay.
for traditionally, a big band has 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, 5 saxophones, and a full rhythm section.
Okay.
So, and that's what we got now. We even got a couple of extras. We've got a flute player with us, and of course, singers were frequently part of
Right.
big bands in the 40s and 50s. And so we have a singer with us, and we're doing good.
Yeah. I was, as I say, it really was. What really surprised me was the quality of the performance. Because sometimes when you hear community band or community ensemble, you lower your expectations.
And that's very, very true. And that's part of our philosophy, either with the concert band or the jazz ensemble, is, yeah, we're a community group. We accept all levels, all ages. But part of the philosophy is to allow the better players to be challenged and allow the less accomplished players to be brought up to the level beyond what they start at.
Right.
So with this jazz group, we had to start with less challenging charts when we first started the group. But as we were able to get a more stable personnel, I was able to introduce more challenging charts. And as we play together more, we can sense, a little more feeling among the group, a little more sense of ensemble, and I can push them a little further,
Right.
I mean, I've got some really good players in the group.
Yeah. And a very cohesive group. What I noticed was how you would signal, and I would imagine it's difficult to lead a band
And play at the same time.
So you're
man,
facing out kind of at the audience, but you're also trying to.
Yes.
So that's got to be challenging.
That is, and when we start out, like initially at the beginning of the year in September, we rehearse during the school calendar.
Okay.
We start in September, we end in June. Okay, and if the school doesn't have school, we don't rehearse. But what I do for the beginning of the September part is, and I'll do this again now, we start again I think on January 7th. So what I'll do is I'll face the sections toward each other. So we can hear each other and we can communicate actually verbally and physically.
Right.
And see what's going on all over the band. So
and
that makes it a little easier to get started. Then once we get a little more settled in the charts we're going to do, and we've gotten them through, played a few times, we'll turn the band into the way it's actually going to perform.
Right.
So we can hear that sound and be ready.
Sure. I'm sure that you need to be prepared for
big
that.
factor. One of the problems we have, and we ran into this with the concert band and the jazz ensemble, when we get close to the actual performance, I try to simulate the acoustics as best I can. But you cannot compare the high school stage to what happens in Workshop 13.
Right.
So there's no way I can do that. So,
Yeah,
you know, we
yeah.
put down the curtain, I give them something to have a backdrop to, but when we get there, man, it's, you know, the hall is live, the people are there.
Right.
So it makes a big difference in the sound. And
Right. So if I gathered correctly what I was seeing, you would decide before the song started who was going to take solos.
Yeah, actually, we decided that like 2 or 3 rehearsals prior to.
Okay.
Because that's one of the areas that we're still not really flexible as a community group. You can't, if you're a professional jazz group, you could just point, somebody would take a solo.
Right.
But as a community group with less accomplished, less experienced players, let's say, you can't say, okay, we're gonna run that another time. You have to
Right.
tell them in advance, because they may need to follow their own part, and a soloist needs maybe a little bit of a lead way into when he's going to play. So
Right.
we try to decide up front.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's the players that normally take the solos are flexible enough so that if something happens, we can cover it.
Right.
So-
Right. I was really very happy to see that there was a nice range of age groups in the ensemble.
Yeah, I'm thinking Samantha, our trombonist, third trombone, is high school age, and of course I'm ancient. So yeah, we got a fairly good age range. I think
Yeah.
I'm the oldest one in the group, actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
You know, unfortunately, to a degree, sometimes styles of music like that tend to appeal to older players. So it was nice to see younger people getting into playing music that is really timeless.
Yeah. The whole acoustic music scene has changed so dramatically. I mean, things have moved so far toward music video performance and electronic music performance that it's difficult to let a kid experience that kind of acoustic thing unless there's an outlet. You know,
Right.
even a community band. I mean, there are a lot of kids that are playing in that group that don't have any other option for that kind of stuff. You know, I
Okay.
mean, around the area there are quite a few community bands now, but there was a while when there weren't. And of course, the school had no music program. Several times that has been eliminated.
Right, right,
So-
right.
Hopefully it's going to be growing now, but the big band, you're right. I think that's like an ongoing traditional kind of sound and group that hopefully is going to be around. I mean, there are a lot of acoustic players that need that kind of an outlet.
Sure.
You know,
sure.
it's hard to pick up a saxophone and go out and work with a rock group.
Right.
I mean, you see it in music videos sometimes, but it's just not the same. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
so
With the improvisations, the person knows ahead of time they're taking a solo. Do they tend to improvise as they go, or do they kind of already have an idea?
oh no, you never play the same solo twice.
Okay.
The chords are the same, the background might be the same, but your thought process, where your head is at that particular time, the things you're feeling, they're never the same. So, you know, you might get a couple of similar licks in there because of like cliche chord patterns,
Right, right.
but otherwise you never play the same thing twice.
Okay.
You know, a
You
couple
know-
of the people, I mean, I've got some of the members that are starting to try to do solos. One of the easiest ways to let them do that is to read one that's written out
Right.
in the chart by whoever arranged the chart. And once they start trying that, then hopefully they'll branch off and they'll try to learn a little more about the chord progressions and go from there. But otherwise, the guys that are doing the straight improvisation, it's never the same twice.
Okay. You know, it's funny because I guess I knew that big band music really grew out of jazz and vice versa. But it wasn't until the performance Sunday that I really realized how much jazz and big band are intertwined.
Oh, heck, yeah.
And, it brought me back. I'm originally from Baltimore. And I would go, there was a jazz club. I lived in downtown Baltimore. And there was a little hole-in-the-wall jazz club that I would go in, and probably took my life in my hands at times going there. But they had just some amazing players. I guess it's sort of your second string jazz players who had not quite hit the big time, but and it's just amazing music. And when somebody's improvising, you can just feel yourself being brought along with whatever is moving that person. So that was, it was wonderful for me to kind of understand that connection. So when you're doing a program, how do you choose the material that you're going to do?
Well, as you know, we have the female singer now, so I try to include 4 charts for the singer, and I try to mix those up. We've got, right now, I think I have a total of 12 female vocal charts. I also have some male vocal charts. We're still working on those. But I'll take 4 of those, and I'll put those kind of in the middle of each set, 2 on each side. And then I've got to try to have an opener, strong opener, and a strong closer for each set. So I'll pick out 4 tunes to fill those. Then after that, I'll put in, stuff that we've been working on that's newer, and I'll put in some that we've either done in the past or that are less challenging, so we don't kill ourselves totally, trying to prepare the show.
Sure.
It's kind of a mix of new stuff, old stuff, difficult stuff, and easy stuff.
Okay. So what are the challenges of getting such a diverse group of musicians together and bringing them into a working unit?
I think you hit it on the head when you said getting them together. I have a small core that is always there. They never miss a rehearsal. And I have others that come when they can't. I mean, it's at night, it's an mostly adult group.
Right.
People have other obligations. They have other things going on in their lives, and you have to be that happens with the other community band as well.
Sure.
You never really know, so it's hard. I get nervous and antsy as we get closer to the gig, because for us, especially for a jazz ensemble like that size, it plays better if it plays together.
Sure.
And if you don't rehearse together, if they're all professional musicians, it's not an issue.
Right.
But when you've got a mixture of ability levels and experience levels, that playing together is what lets it gel. So, some rehearsals we're missing 2, some rehearsals we're missing 4, some rehearsals the house is full. So we deal with it as best we can.
Sure.
And I just ask that the people that can't make the rehearsals, they keep up with what's going on and work on their own parts.
Right. And I've heard several people say that when a band rehearsal is when everybody works together on how their parts come together. But that people really do need to work.
Need to know their own part before they can figure out how it goes with the rest.
Right.
And the leader is responsible for a lot of that, because in the jazz ensemble, most of the players can hear most of the other players, but we don't have the knowledge base yet. We don't have the experience level yet for everybody to know what's important on their own parts.
Right.
They might be able to play it, but they may not know how it's supposed to fit with the rest of the group. So that's up to me and the section leaders to try to help get that across.
Okay. So what's a rehearsal like? How much of it is fine-tuning and how much of it is...
Depends on what stage of the progression toward a performance we're at. The beginning, like starting in January, we're not going to have a lot of time to get... Our next gig is March 3rd for Mardi Gras.
Okay.
So, believe it or not, we're not going to have a lot of time to put that program together. But if we had the time, what I would do is the first rehearsal, like on January 7th, I would just play through some charts to warm up, get back to playing again. I would try a couple of the newer charts that we've got that we haven't tried yet. I just picked up a nice version of Miles Davis All Blues. I just got a great version of 2 O'Clock Jump.
Okay.
We picked up Rise, and we picked up Morning Dance by Rogera.
All right.
So those we haven't really worked on yet, and they're going to be either in the March program or in the June program. So we might go through those a few times. After that, it's get on to the beginning of the sets. They all know what the sets are. I sent them the list today, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
So we will start at the beginning of the set, and we'll just keep going right through one after another, hammering it. Play them a few times. If there's one that I think is particularly ragged around the edges, we'll focus on that at the beginning of a rehearsal and beat it up until it's ready to go, you know.
Okay.
Some of the other guys, if, like, say, the trumpets are concerned about one chart, we'll work on that chart until they're happy. So,
okay.
Yeah. You know, so it's kind of a flexible process. It's
sure.
And again, it depends on who's there and who's not. I mean, if I go in preset with a thought that we're going to rehearse a chart, and the person that's featured in that part isn't there, well, it's not going to do any good to rehearse it. So.
Yeah, that I would imagine is, you know, a struggle.
Struggle might be the wrong word. You know, I try to be understanding and stuff. That's why I get a little tense and irritable toward the end. You know, I worry. I just worry. They're not all professionals. They're professionals. I could have them come in the day before, and it would be done. But, you know, when you're working with non-professionals and at this level, you need as much solid rehearsal as you can get. So.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't think that many people would have recognized Sunday that they were not hearing a professional band.
Well, for some reason or another, I seem to be able to extract from the players the best possible that they can be. I'm not sure why that is.
Okay.
You know, they work hard. They work harder than sometimes than I expect them to, and it shows up at the end. You know.
Yeah.
So.
I would imagine. I mean, this is not something that is being done for money.
No. Oh no. No, the only money is what it cost me.
Right. So, you kind of pay for this out of your own pocket?
Jazz ensemble, everything is paid for out of my pocket. Yep.
Okay.
The community band, we get contributions from several of the local agencies, veterans groups.
Okay.
So we do get money coming in from them. But this one, the jazz ensemble, that's strictly on me.
Okay. So why? Why do you do it? What is it about that's...
Well, first of all, I love the medium. And it's an opportunity for me to play. And believe it or not, it's less challenging than conducting the other group. And I get to be more creative and expressive.
Okay.
Right? So, plus I think providing this kind of outlet is important. If that type of music, if that type of group is going to continue to exist, they got to be out there somewhere.
Okay.
So, you know, if I can make that contribution, if I'm able to, as long as I can, I will.
Okay. So it really sounds like a true labor of love.
Yeah, I guess.
And, you know, it's something that you believe strongly about the music.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, it is, I think, so important. I'm all for innovation. I'm all for new things and new genres and new ideas. But we do need to hold on to
you gotta have the roots.
past,
if the roots aren't there, it's, you know, the rest of it's not going to matter. So, another part of my philosophy with both the bands is that I think people need to be exposed to live performances as much as they can.
Right.
If you charge $10 or $15 for somebody to come and see it, they're not going to, especially at this time of year. Money's going in all kinds of other directions.
Right.
You know, oh, well, you know, there's always an excuse. If I got to pay, I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
Make it free. They've got no excuse. If they like the music, they can come and they can enjoy themselves. If they've got an extra $5, they can buy themselves a beer or a bottle of water at the bar. So, plus get, a chance to listen to some good tunes.
Yeah. It was such a nice feeling to have that afternoon out and listen to good music. The singer, Donna Lee.
Spectacular.
Really just blew me away. That for one thing, she did some songs that I happen to really love. Fever is one of those.
That's one of our new ones.
Okay. Wonderful arrangement of it, too.
Yeah, that's a very interesting arrangement. And of course the Bublé arrangement of, what the heck was it now? Cry Me a River.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the Bublé arrangement. That's his actual version, so. He's got some great charts. I mentioned he's like a young Frank Sinatra because he's got the backing of some of the best musicians in the industry and stuff.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so...
Deb Deschamps used to sing with us when we first started.
All right.
She used to be our singer, and she got too busy with the real estate business, so.
Okay, yeah.
We were fortunate.
And I've heard Deb sing, and she is great, but... Donna Lee is just...
Donna Lee's got an amazing range of styles.
Oh,
she just blows me away. She can go anywhere from, Janis Joplin way the heck back to Ella Fitzgerald or, Lady Day. She's incredible. She's got a great range, great control, always sings in tune.
And she is a performer.
Yeah. Yes, she is.
And because it's not always easy to hold an audience's attention.
Try standing out in front of the group like that.
Yeah. I've always been lucky. I hide behind my guitar as I perform.
But you're out there with a microphone and that's it, right? Suppose the band does something wrong. Who are they going to look at? You're right out there, so you're the target. So.
Okay, yeah.
She's real good about it.
Yeah. So, are there any plans to perhaps someday have a recording of the jazz ensemble?
Well, I don't know. I actually, I did a tape version of last June's performance. I hung a few mics off the balcony upstairs and an old TIAC cassette recorder, which actually does very good recordings.
Right.
And it made an excellent recording, but trying to get it off the tape onto my computer so I could digitize, and I burned through 3 tape players.
Oh, gee.
So I said, okay, this isn't going to work anymore. So I bought a digital recorder and a mixer and a couple of other accessories and stuff, and I did not have a chance to get together and use it for this recording. This gig. Hopefully I'm going to have it there for Mardi Gras.
Okay.
So I'll try to do a recording. I set it up so I can go 4 mics into 2 channels.
Okay.
That should be okay. The sound on the cassette tape was good enough to indicate to me that if I do a digital and I set it up upstairs correctly, it should come out okay.
Yeah. That would be wonderful, and perhaps could be a fundraiser.
No, I'm not so sure I want to. I might do that if I got it to actually get onto a disc in one piece. And somebody wanted a copy, I would probably make it available. I don't.
Right.
I'm not in this to make money, so.
Well, that's that's good.
I would rather draw the crowd. You notice we had a full house Sunday.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
yeah.
To me, that's more important than selling copies of the performance. The performance, no matter how well the recording is done, no matter how much it's polished digitally or professionally, it's not like being there.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one thing I think I particularly like about jazz.
Yeah.
Jazz and bluegrass are 2 forms of music that the energy that's brought to the stage
Yeah.
is something that never comes across even watching a film
It can't. You know,
of the performance.
Right. If you can see the people, if you're close enough to almost literally touch them, you get that energy right from them. You can see the facial expressions. You can watch what their hands are doing. Big difference than listening to it.
Right.
You know,
right.
So.
You know, and it's funny because we get sometimes some preconceptions, and to me, when I think of a jazz guitarist, I think of somebody with an acoustic electric guitar with the F holes.
Yeah.
And it really blew me away to watch
Fred.
jazz being played on a Les Paul.
Fred's quite a character, I'll tell you. That guitar and he fit together very well.
Yeah, yeah. And then the piano,
Yeah, Carl.
having the digital piano was really a nice touch too, because I noticed at times you could use the electric piano sound. Sounded like there were times when she was doing a little bit of organ.
Yeah.
And, you know, that is, as much as I love acoustic pianos, is, you know, something you don't have with that.
You remember when the Fender Series 73 first came out?
Oh, yeah.
I said to everybody, that's it. That's the future right there. And so
Yeah. So, next performance coming up?
Sunday, March 3rd, it'll be a Mardi Gras gig. So I encourage you to bring your costumes, and we'll bring the beads.
Okay.
So, which we did last year. Matter of fact, we had them all over the place. So.
It you know, just the energy of the Christmas show was tremendous. So I'm really looking forward to what the energy is going to be
We're going to
for
open up
a Mardi
with
Gras.
we're going to open up with something called Hail King Zulu,
Oh, okay.
which is done by originally written by a guy named Wardell Kazurk, who had a group in New Orleans called Wardell Kazurk and his Slammin' Big Band.
Okay.
His style, his music, he died a few years ago, but his style and his music is going to live on in New Orleans forever. The Marsalis brothers, a lot of the groups that are playing there now, either use his charts or they were influenced by his style.
Okay.
So we're going to open up with that, and who knows where it'll go from there.
All right.
So.
You know, my father was Cajun, so so you know, Mardi Gras
Yeah.
is something that is sort of in my blood. So I'm looking forward to that. My wife is looking forward to it.
Well, I'm glad you're going to be there for that. That's great.
And I want to thank you again for coming in.
My pleasure.
And I want to thank you again for tuning in. This has been Creative Connections, and we'll see you again next time. Take care.